If we, I know I said half an hour to you, so we've got a couple of questions, but we'll come back and we'll see if there's any other questions from the room as well on hunting with dogs. If we could have a chat on the following up of wounded deer, with the new legislation coming in, the Natural Environment Bill coming through. There are numerous elements to this, such as control orders, which have been almost withdrawn but then reintroduced with probably a slightly different name, but effectively the same thing. And one concern that we have the benefit of being involved in a lot of meetings through the weeks and through the months, but I'm quite conscious that a lot of people in this room don't. So there was an issue that cropped up in relation to the following up of injured deer. Now this comes back, it's slightly linked to the hunting with dogs, whereby you cannot use a dog to dispatch a wild animal, so that's now not allowed. So I think an unintended consequence was the dispatch of an injured deer. And so the legalities of that, first of all, I think in the definition it's in the Act, stalking is, it's something, forgive me if I get this wrong, stalking is the stalking of deer for the purposes of sport. But I think where we're concerned, once a deer is shot, injured, and maybe takes off a few hundred metres out of sight, it's no longer sport. It becomes a welfare issue. So, Ben, I'll start with yourself. Would you mind just sort of setting out the legal parameters of where we stand with that, please?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm not going to be able to say to you, if you do this on each occasion, it's going to help you from not committing an offence. But what I hope to be able to offer you is some advice as to how you can operate in a manner that reduces the risk of you contravening the legislation. So I appreciate there's by the very nature of the discussion, there's been a lot of negative thoughts about the legislation. I actually think it's a really good opportunity for the deer management industry to recognise the need to have a really good standard of deer dogs. At the moment, when you look at the terms of licensing, it's a bit woolly as to what exactly a deer dog is, and I think that's where people that are going to be using a deer dog to follow up injured deer can really help themselves. And I think what needs to be done there, and what would be helpful, is that if they undertake regular training, document their training. Now that doesn't have to be in the official remit of an organisation like UKDTR. It could be you meeting up with friends, keeping a training diary, running training exercises, and also keeping a log of the times that you're deploying with your dog and tracking deer and what the outcome is. Because, let's not forget, we are talking about dogs here. They're not robots, and they are prone to do things of their own mind. I spent a good number of years in the police dog unit, and I've experienced all their quirks, and it is something that is very difficult to mitigate over. But I think that, if you've got a situation where somebody's tracked through foot cover, got to a point where they've had to let go of their tracking line, the dog's gone through the foot cover, and then lo and behold, next time the dog's seen by, say, a member of the public and your deer manager, there's a dog holding on to a dead deer. There's a bit of dubiety as to how that deer may have died, but from an investigative point of view, if somebody's able to say, well, yeah, I use my dog for tracking deer, this is what I've done to train my dog, these are the tracks that I've undertaken, and it's quite a different scenario to have somebody that their dog has killed maybe one deer after recovering 6 deer during the season, as opposed to none. And I think as well that, yeah, I totally appreciate that, looking at that situation in a black and white manner against the legislation, it looks in a lot of circumstances like you might be committing an offence. But don't forget too, in order for me to be able to prove and evidence that deer died as a result of the dog, it would have to undergo a post-mortem. Now, that could be extremely challenging in itself. So I appreciate that doesn't remove the stress of an investigation, but I think it's an opportunity to improve and increase the bare minimum of what we're doing in terms of deer dog training and how we're deploying and how we're recording how they're used. And again, that's something that through that documentation, through record keeping, that's where we're in a stronger position to undertake dialogue with NatureScot and look to see if there's any gaps that can be filled, if there's a role that lies in play.